Recording now.
Okay, welcome to Meet Your Monsters. My name is Abram Aiken. These are my friends.
Kathleen.
Colby.
And Matt.
And we have a special guest today, Sarah.
Oh, sorry.
You can say it too.
They planned that.
All right, take it from the top. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Okay, for you at home, Meet Your Monsters is a podcast in which I show my friends horror movies that I love, and we find out if they love them too or if they just think my movies suck. This week's movie was Reanimator, which of course is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think?
Very good.
Fantastic.
Liked it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never realized until watching it this time, really paid attention what a badass Herbert was.
Yeah.
A bad motherfucker.
Yeah, and in my notes here I wrote Herbert. Who the fuck's name is still Herbert? But still, who gets to be awesome named Herbert? That's a cool name.
Herbie Hancock.
Isn't the pedophile on Family Guy named Herbert? Mr. Herbert?
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah. So, yeah. That's just a strange...
He should star in, like, they should do a remake with him in it.
He wouldn't even really have to change his character that much.
Yeah. And then also, Herbert.
It's probably short.
It's probably Herbert. Yeah.
Bertonius or something.
Yeah. This movie is classified in my awesome Monsters in the Movie book, clearly a mad scientist.
Yes.
Yeah, that was an easy one. He was right on the first freaking page, so
Yeah.
so that was good.
Do you think Doc Brown would qualify as a mad scientist?
If it took a darker turn, I think so.
The thing about Doc Brown though is his shit worked.
That's true.
Like he built a time machine and it worked.
Yeah.
It did what it's supposed to do. So he's a scientist, and he might be a little mad, but
You're only mad if you fail.
yeah, or
It's
if it
the
goes
hair that
awry.
misleads everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Seeing
Yeah.
ones comb their hair.
So Reanimator is from 1985. It was directed by Stuart Gordon, starring Jeffrey Combs, Bruce Abbott, and Barbara Crampton, who we got to see quite a bit of.
Don't give it away.
Yeah, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this since 1985. Why don't we just go on to the sinister synopsis?
Sure. So the movie opens in Sweden, right? With him...
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Okay.
Okay,
so
We're
country.
now this shows how awful I am
Aren't they
at...
the same thing?
I almost said geometry. But, okay, Switzerland and
Angles are all
Sweden...
fucked up.
That's not the same place?
No.
Switzerland
It's
and
not.
Sweden?
Oh,
No.
I just thought people from Switzerland were Swedish,
Yeah.
but that doesn't make any sense.
You're Swedish
You're a
if
Swede.
you're Sweden, and you're Swiss if you're from Switzerland.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Colby's got it all figured out.
Yeah. Okay, like my only knowledge of that area is from the girl with the dragon tattoo, so...
And now, Reanimator.
Yeah,
That's
Reanimator. Okay.
Where he has zero Swedish accent.
But he wasn't from there, he was just visiting Dr. Gruber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
What a
see.
Swedish chef, don't forget that.
Wait, hold on. I think you guys are talking about two different things
And the
here.
Swiss Miss?
You're saying
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy from Reanimator had no, or the guy from Girl with the Dragon Tattoo had no accent?
No, well, both.
Okay.
Take that back.
Well, no, like Daniel Craig didn't have any accent in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Sort of, yeah.
He didn't even try.
wasn't-
He just showed up and said he was Daniel. I'm gonna act.
Which one we're talking about?
I don't know what we're talking about.
Anyways, we're
Edit this out.
Back to the movie we actually watched.
Yeah. We'll do Girl with the Dragon Tattoo because
Yeah.
that can qualify as a
We know
monster,
they're
sort
not
of.
nuclear powers, so we don't have to worry about
Yeah.
No, that's not a monster.
Oh, yeah, dude.
He's mean, but not like
Ew.
a vampire or nothing.
I would
But I
count-
feel like
I
you'd
would-
go, "You're a monster," and it would be
It would
legit.
totally be... Yeah. Yeah, anybody who's, like, got girls locked in cages and stuff. Yeah, I'd
That's
count that
true.
as a monster. Yeah.
Mm.
Human monster. We'd have to look it
Was
up.
it
in
that
the book.
or... No, I'm thinking of Casino Royale when he got hit in the nuts with a rope.
Yeah.
It's like 90% of his movies.
Yeah. Daniel Craig and ropes.
They did something weird in that movie too, didn't they? With Daniel Craig's character.
Well, he like hung him and he had a bag over his head, so he was suffocating and was
that's
like
right.
cutting his clothes off, all weird like.
He was getting the rope to hit him in the nuts with it.
He was gonna do something to his.
Yeah, he's like,
I
I've
just-
never done it to a man before.
I just
Yeah.
found it
Like, "Done
hilarious
what?"
that like
Girls don't have
that was the only thing he did to torture him was hit him in the balls, and yet he was like in that recovery unit for like weeks. It seemed like they were recovery hospital.
We just went across 3 different movies, but that's a
In
valid
the first
For the price
opening
of
line of
one.
the synopsis.
point. A good nut shot will take a good couple of weeks, though.
Colby could tell us later about the best nut shots.
Yeah. Okay, go on with this synopsis.
yeah, we meet him, and he's already reanimated a corpse.
Mhm.
But to me, that didn't make sense because he seemed like he wasn't sure he could do it with humans. Like once he came to America.
American corpses are different.
Okay, so I think I puzzled this out because I was thinking about this too. Okay, so when he was in Switzerland, right? Switzerland?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, he
Operating on that Swedish guy.
working with
Right.
Dr. Gruber, he developed the reagent which could bring people back, which he successfully did with Dr. Gruber. What he was looking for in America that he didn't achieve in Switzerland was a conscious response. He was looking for them to recognize some portion of their past, something where they can go.
Abe's always got the attention to detail.
Yeah.
When you see it 20 times, you're
Yeah. Yeah. I probably didn't need to watch the movie to write my quote this week. But yeah, so I think that's what he was trying to do. He had already figured out it worked. He was just trying to get
refine it.
Yeah.
And he couldn't refine it because he got kicked out of
Yeah.
Switzerland.
Yeah. Now everyone's nervous about.
That's weird.
South Africa.
Gotta check my geometry.
And then
Angles are all fucked up in this movie.
Yeah.
Like a star and a triangle.
from there, we cut to him in the American teaching hospital where he meets
Dr. Hill.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, he meets Dr. Hill, and he thinks his ideas are preposterous.
I'm sorry. Snap.
He
You
knows
made me so
nothing.
mad.
That's how the Swiss show
That's my
discontent.
favorite.
They break their pencils.
They break pencils. And they take another one out.
Yeah, and from there we meet the couple.
And we learn Dr. Hill is king of the cock block.
Yeah, he's got a special skill.
And also victims sometimes.
Yeah. There's a lot of cock blocking in this movie.
Yeah, we meet the couple, which is Meg and Dan, right?
Mhm.
Dan Kane.
Yeah.
And
Did he go on to play Superman?
Does Dean King. Okay, I got you.
We meet the couple and establish that they have sexy time at their apartment, and even though it seems like they would want to be alone, they've put out an ad for a roommate, which Herbert answers rather quickly in the middle of the night.
Creepily. Yeah.
Mid-sexy ghost.
And even though he says like the strangest fucking things, they're still like, yeah, just give him the room.
Well, he had money. He had a big wad of
Yeah.
cash, so yeah.
That's true.
Because she wasn't living with him, was she?
No, she just was over there every night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she wasn't living in them. Like,
Yeah, right.
why did she even have it say? God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd kind of cock blocked him with getting a place to live.
Oh.
She lock blocked
Herbert?
him.
She cocked his. She cocked his block. No. Never mind.
Happening?
I can't talk. That's what's happening.
She had a bad feeling about Herbert West from the start.
Yeah.
I'll say.
I don't know
Did
why
it
though.
startle you?
Yeah.
Which,
Smoldering
like, which came back around because he saved her ass later on in the movie.
Did it?
After
Like,
he ruined her
The
life.
graduation. His ass.
Yeah, he
He
really
should've
didn't.
saved all of her.
He
though.
really didn't do anybody any favors the whole movie.
Saved
No.
everybody is what he did. He's a hero.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to
Blast
defend
on
that
it.
later.
Yeah, and after that, I don't quite remember what happens after that. I just remember it kind of seems like the thing that happens.
Well, what happens is
is-
they find the cat dead in
Yeah.
his freezer.
I'm just trying to
And
figure
they
out
tried
how they
to-
like cut
What
that
do you do in my
together because
room?
it just went from like
Cats in your fridge,
roommate
asshole.
to
Yeah.
dead cat in fridge.
Well, she gets this feeling that he's not quite right, and then they're hanging out, and she realizes that the cat's missing.
try-
They're on their
Call the cat.
reading date
Yeah.
where they
But
just
you
hang
can't-
out and read together.
Can't call a cat. Have you ever tried calling a cat?
My
It
cat
Worries
comes
if
there.
I make it like a
My
clicky
cat
noise.
will not.
If you shake a treat bag,
Yeah.
sure, that's what you
Yeah, so they're calling for this cat and they find it in his fridge, and from there it's he goes into a really awkward explanation for how that cat got there.
It's
Yeah.
suffocating in a jar.
It-
It's like,
That might have been true. That part might have been true. We didn't
It's
see
almost so dumb it may have been true. You think you could have come up with a better lie?
Yeah.
that. I think a cat would be better to experiment on a dog. Because like a dog would try to be friends with you as you're trying to experiment on it and like lick you and shit. Whereas a cat would just kind of like stare at you.
would attack you from behind and claw you back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well afterwards, yeah, no, that's, yeah.
Which
And that's
coincidentally
ideal, too,
enough
'cause
is
a cat's
exactly
a
what
lot
happens
smaller
next.
than a dog. I guess depending on the dog.
So you're saying that you would be less likely to experiment on a dog because you would grow fond of it?
Friends, yeah. Like buds.
Yeah.
It's like a cat. They just kind of stare at you,
They're
like,
kind of
disapprovingly.
But it's hard to follow the cat.
You gotta work for their love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the cat gets reanimated and just goes straight crazy.
Attacks.
Yeah.
Herbert West. Have you ever done that with like a stuffed animal? Like, it's goofy. Like all the Chucky movies where they're like, throw a doll across it.
Yeah. And so Dan comes downstairs to see what's happening with this cat, and they together they kill it again.
I like that it takes two of them to kill a dead cat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's super strong though, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And I like how they kill it, they hurl it against the wall, and then you see a little piece of brain fall off the wall where it's flattened.
Doug is awesome.
Yeah. And then they reanimate the cat again so he can show him how his reagent works.
Yep.
And,
And from there, he's kind of recruited Dan to his cause. He's pretty much on board.
okay, but this comes to the part that I think is really strange. Is Dan initially tries to do the right thing. He goes to Dean Halsey and he says, Herbert West has created this thing that reanimates corpses.
He seems more excited though about it instead of
well, but he's a scientist. It's pretty exciting. But and the Dean is like, this is outrageous.
Well,
how dare you spread these lies?
Most unorthodox.
Yeah.
Because hadn't Hill already warned him about Herbert West, and he's like, he's shocker. He's living with Herbert West. He's a weird guy.
Yeah. But I just felt like he was like, he cut him off from his program, like everything he was trying to tell him, like, this guy's up to something, and then he just
ostracized for one conversation.
Yeah, which was in the bin. It was exactly what they wanted. I mean, what they would have wanted. They wanted to stop
the
Buzz.
grants they could have got with that.
That's true. Man, maybe it was a money thing. Yeah. Then they were in cahoots. After
they're
that,
in cahoots, and then from there they go into the morgue to try it out on a human to see if they can get that response, and they kind of do in a way. They bring back the Hulk from the dead, and
I think Dan's position's really ideal. Because if it all goes wrong, you'd be like, yeah, this dude's fucking crazy. But if it was right, you're like, yeah, I was behind him the whole time.
Nobel Prize.
Yeah, so they bring the Hulk back to life, and then they have to kill that guy by driving, what would you call that? A bone saw.
And what was his name? Marvin?
Chest.
Melvin, the Reanimator.
Yeah.
Melvin the Reanimator.
Which is cool, because when he did that, it kind of made me think, he's kind of like Sheldon mixed with, Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory mixed with the Terminator, Because, he just does it with, a dead look in his face, just like...
Oh, yeah, he's just like, Ryan's supposed to needs to be done.
They said Sheldon from Big Bang Theory back as a Terminator. That's what a movie would have been like.
He would have been a lot snarkier. He he wouldn't have made as many friends.
No, because that's that's what he would have lost by mixing with the Terminator.
Yeah. Oh,
he loses that, and he doesn't get the big. He wouldn't be all big and buff like the Terminators were. He'd have been smaller. It's a compromise.
Give and take.
And then Meg's dad walks in on them after they'd killed was it Marvin or Melvin? Melvin, the reanimated corpse?
They didn't. It was before they killed him. Remember, they had him in the room, and then he banged down the door.
Oh, yeah.
And they squished him.
Yeah.
Did anybody else notice when they snuck in and his feet were sticking out, he still put his socks and shoes back on? That took way too much. I would have got sandals or slippers or something.
But then you
can put on fast.
It was cold in there.
There's no flip-flops in the 80s.
I was thinking all the time they wasted. They would have had that guy reanimated and been the fuck out of there by the time that doctor got back.
They were taking their sweet time.
They'd be like, hey,
well, I don't know. Here was something else too that was bizarre. Was
Dr. West, are you wearing sandals in the morgue?
That security guard was fucking worthless.
Yeah.
Okay, so
my dream job.
Yeah, so they
back to the good old days when you could read porn at work.
Yeah, but
now it's harassment.
While smoking a cigar.
They sneak in Herbert West and he throws his shoes and socks on. How are they going to get him out? He's going to wheel the same body out or
Just
what?
throw it out.
He'll just walk out. The guy would have never noticed.
He didn't pay attention later in the movie.
No,
so
yeah,
so
a
cool.
headless corpse with a model stuck to its head slunk by him. His ear fell off. He didn't notice.
Here's what I didn't get about that scene. Why didn't he just put his own head back on?
Because it looked all shitty. It was
you
like,
couldn't
Looked
stop
better than that
drilling
fucking
blood.
statue, and like he put like the mask and hat on it anyways.
yeah.
He probably could have just passed it off as a hangover.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Probably a bit embarrassed.
Mondays, am I right?
Maybe it wouldn't balance or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably could have tried to fit it back on there.
Remember in Idle Hands when he just stuck his head on like one side of the fork and then jammed the other part down his throat? That's how they kept his head on.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Meg's dad is killed. Herbert and Dan kind of get things under control again. Who discovers? Oh yeah, the security guard discovers the dad, and they pretty much presume that he's gone insane, and they blame the murder of the once dead corpse on Meg's dad, and move him into an office with a window and a padded cell next to it.
And blood in the refrigerator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
University just comes
He's got
with
a
a lot of different
weird
uh,
office.
No, that guy's just the hardest working man at that
I know.
university. He's like,
He
I'm
was a
doing blood
doctor. He shouldn't have that
transfusion.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inventing the laser lobotomy.
Yeah.
Which is just a really high red light.
Which turns out to be completely worthless unless you're reanimating corpses,
Yeah.
and then the laser
Well,
lobotomy gives you total control
I
over
don't know
them.
why. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Did he have to do that to gain
That's
control over?
what he did to
yeah.
all those bodies at
Okay.
the end to make them obey him, and that's why Dean Halsey would do his bidding because he had done that weird surgery on him. Because he
Over
found
lobotomy.
the part of the brain that controls will.
But he didn't find the part that controlled love.
Yeah, please, fun.
Yeah, so when Dr. Hill sees that and he sees Herbert, he's kind of pieced it together what happened, and he tries to get in on this awesome research that he's doing. And so he bebops on over to Dan's house, where Herbert's still doing blood tests with a reanimation agent with the cat's blood. And yeah, Herbert, he's, using foresight and seeing that he's going to steal all his research anyway, so he offs his head.
With a shovel.
Yeah.
It was a
Which-
shovel.
He happened to have the shovel, and which I've seen on YouTube, and it doesn't work out too great. Like, he should have been like, ow! After he hit him with the shovel.
But he did immediately chop his head off. with
Yeah,
it.
he
That's
just
true. He
stunned
followed
him.
up.
Yeah, he didn't give him a
But I
whole
don't think he
lot.
would have knocked him down in the first place, you know
Yeah,
what I'm
true.
saying?
Yeah.
He's stronger than he looks.
And he whacked him pretty good. He was,
That's true.
And he was bent over looking at a.
Shovels
one
in
of-
the 80s were a lot heavier
Yeah,
than
it's
they
like
are.
made out of cast iron,
Yeah.
like
High lead
elephant bone
content.
and shit.
So yeah, Herbert decides to expand his experiments to just parts of the body, so he reanimates the severed head and the body. And then, I don't know why, but he just leaves him
Now-
after that.
This is the most fascinating part of the movie to me. Okay, so the man gets his head chopped off. He gets brought back to life, and his first action is to try to bang the dean's daughter.
Isn't that what we'd all do?
So with his own headless body, or no, he actually recruits the lobotomized father to go kidnap
He
her,
creates an undead army
and
to
then yeah. But
fulfill this goal.
yeah, I'm just wondering, what's the end game there? I guess
That's true, because
I guess
as soon
just
as he
banging
gets
the
his
girl. Yeah.
as soon as he gets his head chopped off, he's like, I'm not going to
He's
steal the
just-
research
yeah.
anymore. I just
Yeah,
he's a
just
one-track mind.
Yeah.
I guess
he just
Still,
really
yeah.
wanted to hook up with that girl.
I guess because
guess.
it goes back to their base instincts
Yeah,
after they're
maybe, yeah.
reanimated.
Like they're a step up from animals, but they're still. I've always
wanted you.
Oh god, that's so gross. But yeah, he's like talking to the head, and then the decapitated guy comes up and hits him in the head. And that's how he gets it there.
Yeah.
Which that wouldn't knock you out either. It was pretty easy to knock out people. But his glasses didn't even break.
Oh.
That's true. Yeah, I'd been like, quit pushing me.
Yeah, that was the naked wannabe fellatio scene was. Fellatio
Cunnilingus.
cunnilingus. I'm
Like
sure
a
he-
gentleman.
Yeah.
He took care of her needs first.
That was horrible.
I guess that was awful sweet of him.
This close to love.
If you're gonna
It's a
use
big teddy bear.
your decapitated head to pleasure a woman,
Yeah.
that may as well be the way to do it.
Well, his body was working too. Like I said, he just,
Oh my god.
It was kind of clumsy though, hard to control. Remember
That's
when he was
true.
walking in through the office, it was knocking down stuff.
Man.
It was like Weekend at Bernie's, kind of.
He could have got her from the front and the back. he might be every woman's dream man.
Yeah. He's just like...
We
If it
demand
wasn't
a
for the
little bit
rape.
more than that, yeah. The decapitation, the oldness, the deadness.
Yeah, so after the amazingly disturbing cunnilingus scene...
Never quite got to kind of this because...
No, I got in
No,
there.
I think he...
No,
No,
I
he
don't
got
think
close.
he did.
He
He
was
got
going in,
close.
and then Herbert stopped him, and then
Yeah.
disarmed him. Like
I think
I'm
he.
pretty sure Herbert watched it for a full minute.
Yeah, I mean, he's like...
My impression.
taking notes on it.
My impression was that he got in there. They just didn't quite want to show couldn't downright have him in there all.
I feel like
No.
I feel like he was a good 6 inches.
Leave it to you,
away.
Abe. You're like, well, I didn't see them. Her not lick her pussy like she had to.
That's fair, isn't it?
Have them evidence based. I want to see.
Yeah.
I
Unless you can prove that didn't happen.
I was willing to suspend my disbelief that he did in fact chow that.
Oh, God. No.
Anyway. And,
So yeah, after he chows down, Herbert and Dan show up. Well,
Cock blocking together.
Yeah, they-
the cock block tag team.
yeah,
Dan
he
and
does
Herbert.
not catch a break. They show up and stop that shenanigan.
And that's when he releases all of his corpse army that he's
Yeah, they're his perfectly
Yeah.
timed corpse army.
been. So I guess he had.
A lot of prep time.
yeah.
Okay, so wait a minute. I'm seeing it all now for the first time.
It's
Okay, he makes the corpse army as a trap, and then he kidnaps the girl to lure in Herbert and Dan. And then, he's figuring like, well, I already got her here. I may as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he could have been like, "Fuck the corpse army!" Like, finally got her bare ass naked, and tied
Yeah.
up. Like, I'm gonna.
Yeah, but because
Go after
I
that.
always wondered, like, okay, so I get it, he's attracted to this girl, but is that seriously, like, your whole head's just been chopped off? That's the first thing you're going to do is rape a chick?
Yeah.
You got bigger problems. But maybe his intention
What
was
else are we gonna do though? I don't know. I guess it doesn't surprise me. It's like, what?
walk his headless ass to the hospital.
Try to reattach this stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Point.
Fix this shit. But so yeah, maybe it was bait, but at the same time, the father just walked right past Dan and kidnapped the daughter, so he could have taken him too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You need to.
Didn't exactly walk right past him. He bashed him into
He
the
did
wall.
Yeah.
And
bash it looked like his brain
Huge-
splattered.
yeah,
all over.
I was like, oh, he's dead. But
yeah.
I counted 4 splats against the wall.
There
The
was.
cat,
Her dad.
her dad got splatted.
Dan
His
got
head.
splatted.
Then somebody else now. I can't remember.
the doctor, or the Dr. Carl Hill's head got thrown against the wall.
That's true.
That's right, because it was like boop boop boop.
So the undead army attacks those guys.
That one
And-
girl busts out of a
Yeah.
trash bag. She could tie a knot. Just, "Wah."
Like, everybody else has a fancy morgue bag.
Yeah.
And they
Where's
just
the lady's got a trash bag.
they just proceed to like touch and knock over everything.
Yeah, they weren't really punching, biting, kicking, clawing. It was more just like
He
slap
would
fight.
like if he had like 3 more days, he would have taught them karate. and
Yeah.
shit. Like he just had to go with what he had.
Yeah, they would have been as disciplined as the Unsullied 3 days from then. But
Yeah. And then Herbert decides that the only way to defeat this army is to OD them on the Reanimator juice,
Overdose!
which makes like every single organ
Word for lead
become
singer,
sentient because those intestines were coming out of him. And
yeah, like he gets wrapped up by his snake intestines.
Yeah, what was up with that? That seemed like a pretty like.
Super
well,
animated.
the stomach
was like-
and the brain share the same type of cells. So
So the brain has a big penis looking slug.
Later-
I mean-
snake thing.
Later on, TGRI used that same reagent to make the ooze that made the turtles.
They
So
just
that's
tweaked
why.
it a little bit. That's why they have noses now.
Some crazy shit went down in that morgue that night. And I'm not exactly sure that it's for me to say what,
But we will speculate.
but some crazy shit happened.
So they dispatch the undead army, and Meg's dad takes out Dr. Hill.
Yeah, smashed his head old school.
He just squished it like a wet sponge.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
Herbert
Herbert
West
doesn't make
gets-
it out.
yeah, he gets munched
strangled
by
by
My
some
nose, my
huge.
nose.
Yeah, he did manage to save his research.
Which I think he was just thinking ahead. He's like, save my notes, bring me back
Like, one day I'll be in a prison.
Or he's just so badass, he just knew. He's like, this shit is going to kill me. I'll be like 5 minutes.
This is awesome. People need to do this more.
Yeah.
They need to know how. So Meg and Dan are running down the hallway, trying to avoid the corpses that didn't OD, and it's just the one crispy guy, right?
There was 2. There was the one guy that they killed in the hall, and then another one grabbed her with in the elevator just to shoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for like what did you guys say? Like maybe 30 seconds tops.
If
She
you cut off the
dies.
carotid arteries, that's more than enough time to kill a person.
Yeah, but she
Nah.
like Kevin
I don't-
pointed out, she was really struggling.
Nah, but it wasn't. I don't think it was even 30
Well, and
seconds.
then when he was wrestling that first guy in the thing, it looked like their penises might have touched. A fate worse than death.
You were pretty fixated on that too.
You know,
really?
Yeah.
It's close enough for me. Like, that is enough.
So what are your views on high school wrestling
Did you
then?
say you wrestled though?
Like, 'cause there's like maybe that much clock.
There's special measures you take
Wait,
Like
what's
what?
to make sure
You need to
penises don't
educate me.
kiss.
That's why
That's what we
cuffs
call
were
it.
actually made.
Yeah, to keep wieners from rubbing.
Protective wiener rub.
Yeah, I don't care about getting kicked in the balls. I just want to make sure my junk doesn't run up on their junk. Yeah. Okay, so those things all had super strength. Maybe we could just say it squished her throat, like busted her windpipe
okay.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, I
So
could go with
we
that.
could call that a legitimate death. You know,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't long enough to strangle her,
Yeah.
but
Actually,
it had the
crushed
super
her.
strength. So yeah, could have
Yeah,
just
so-
like ka-cha.
So she dies and fulfills her purpose of being totally useless throughout the whole movie.
Except for being nude.
Well, I guess.
That was her purpose, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
And she
Because there really wasn't any other
She
need.
She
delivered.
all she did was come into the room and just be like, "Oh my god, things are happening."
Yeah.
She was always perplexed and frightened.
Yeah.
And then Dan is pretty upset about that, and in a stroke of genius, he decides to reanimate her because he thinks it'll go differently somehow this time.
And they'll continue to be in love.
And then fade to black.
And we should say on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got like a 93.
93,
It's
yeah.
fucking fantastic.
That is. That's really good. It's
Yeah.
better than The Dark Knight.
Is it?
Yeah,
Wow.
Dark Knight had 92.
Man. Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Mhm.
I've already mentioned that this is the he falls in the mad scientist category. You know, I don't have a cool story about how I saw this movie. I think I saw the movie American Beauty, and
Yeah.
there was a scene where they were talking about
They were getting high
Reanimator,
outside.
and I thought, man, that sounds like a movie I'd like to see, and I saw it, and it was fucking awesome. So, yeah.
My story is like one day I was over at your house and you were just like, "Hey, you want to watch Reanimator?" I was like, "Yeah."
That'll do
Imagine the
it.
story.
Yeah. Let's move on to the terrifying trivia. What have you got?
All right. Melvin the Reanimated. He's the first man that was reanimated in the morgue. But he is actually, or the guy who plays him is a guy named Peter Kent, and he actually does all of the stunt body doubling for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Predator, True Lies, Terminator, Last Action Hero, Commando, and of course the most dangerous of all, Jingle All the Way.
He needed a body to...
Yeah, did he bulk up though?
Yeah.
He was
He
That's
was pretty
He
big.
was pretty
Yeah.
big, yeah.
He
Yeah.
wasn't as big as Arnold, though.
Well, who's as big as Arnold? I mean,
Lou
fucking
Ferrigno.
nobody. Well, yeah, but I'd like to see Lou Ferrigno body double for Arnold. That'd be funny.
Like, what'd you say? For those who don't know, Lou Ferrigno's partially deaf.
Aw.
We didn't need to go there. We didn't need to go down that road. Okay.
The special effects department went through 25 gallons of fake blood for this movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It paid off.
It was all the walls too.
And then we'd already mentioned all the splattering that happened. But at the end, when Dr. Hill's head gets thrown against the wall, shows his brains splat. And the brains were actually made of steer meat byproducts, ground beef, and fake blood. And because there was so much splattering, all the crew had to wear trash bags.
Awesome.
Goodness.
That's it.
Okay, I have some Reanimator trivia. was it last year?
No, it was a while ago. It was like
2 years
2 years
ago
ago.
at Starfest, we met Jeffrey Combs, and he didn't seem all that excited about Reanimator.
Not at all. He was
wanted to
like,
talk
I am
about-
Edgar Allan Poe now.
Yeah,
He really wanted to talk about his stage work.
yeah, which was
I
all
could see
cool and
that.
stuff, but
But you're
Well,
at
you're at a
Starfest.
yeah,
Yeah,
Starfest
it's
for
People
the
have a
fans.
craft budget.
We're not like at the Globe Theater.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, when I got up and close to talk to him, he was a pretty nice guy, but he sure didn't seem all that
He's
happy
kind
to
of
be.
spazzy. Like if you watch his face while he's talking, he was like twitching the whole time, like blinking really fast.
That's called acting.
I remember he tried to sit on the back of his chair too, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna fall." And, like he's like, "Whoa!" And, like sat back down.
Yeah, I loved him in Frighteners. I think he's a great actor. I love him. He's been doing voice work for Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc., which is fantastic.
Check that out.
Yeah, and I hope he comes back around because I'd like to see him again. It's
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, he certainly didn't seem to. He wasn't excited about being in Reanimator as we were about watching Reanimator.
I had this crazy idea while I was watching that. You know what villain he could play in a comic book movie? I think he'd be great. Mr. Freeze.
I
I
could
think
see
he'd make a great Mr.
Because
Freeze.
he's just that really deadpan. So.
Yeah.
Very frozen
Old.
expression.
He's got that kind of haunted look to him, like
Yeah.
life just
Nobody
sucks.
beats Arnold.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh,
What was better, him as Mr. Freeze or him in Jingle All the Way?
Jingle all the way.
Jingle All the Way at least had Sinbad.
Yeah,
Okay, I must see that one.
Kathleen's great uncle.
I remember watching that
Really?
movie as a kid.
I was in a
Is it?
commercial with him when I was little.
Oh
Did
my
you have to
gosh.
play a black person?
No, I just sat on his lap. I was just like the light-skinned kid on his.
It was
That's
a
awesome.
a biracial commercial.
Yeah.
There was no
What?
blackface
It was
involved.
actually
He was
a
like-
Child actor?
No, he was coming to the Civic Center to do a comedy show, and at the time I was good friends with this girl Kia, whose dad was like the guy who put on those shows, and so it was just Sinbad saying like, "I'll be here this night, this time," and me and her were sitting on his lap like, "Yeah."
And that was
Sinbad loves the kids.
the night you won all that makeup.
No, that was the Ebony Style Show, which is it's like a fashion show that like highlights black fashion
Okay. that
makers
is
or whatever.
Wonderful you're saying this.
And they had a raffle, and I of course won and had to go on stage and accept makeup that was like for black people, and I, of course I'm like the lightest skinned girl ever.
So
But I was just like, thank you, and took it.
Oh my God.
So, like, if you put it on, like, it would have been like blackface.
Yes.
Yes. Like racist.
I hope you just threw it right away.
Well, you gave it to Kia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was biracial, so it was probably too dark for her too. But I was just like, you're the only black person I know in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So
Okay, so did you went with your friend then? That's why you went?
no, my grandma would get us tickets to it every year.
Curtis's family went every year.
Yeah.
It was in Cheyenne. Oh, they're the whiteiest McWhiters. So it's like,
Yeah.
why did his mom just loved
It
like
was-
the fashion and the hair? And I was like, I can see that. But I'm like, why did you guys go to the Ebony fashion
Yeah,
show?
I
I
just
just think
every
it's
year.
strange that Cheyenne, Wyoming has an ebony style show.
Good
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah, it's
I love
fantastic,
it.
but
That's all we got.
Diversity is big in Wyoming.
yeah, like
We have a base. Thank you. They have to come and live there sometime. Wow, I cannot wait to tell them that. Guess who else went? That was white.
Yep, and you'd always get like a free subscription to either Ebony or Jet magazine.
They got Jen in the
Mhm. Yeah, I had Jet and Ebony because my grandma would give me her subscription. And then it's funny because I'd always rip out the pages and hang them on my wall, and I had like pictures of Halle Berry and Crisscross, and just, like both the two of them like on
Did you
each wall.
kiss it
Like, a
every day
billion
before you
pictures.
went to bed?
What kind of articles are in Jet magazine?
They would like feature like, here's Halle Berry voted most beautiful woman, first black actress voted most beautiful woman
Oh,
by
okay.
People magazine or something, just
Huh.
stuff that appealed to black culture.
and me.
That's like,
And that's lingered because one of your all-time favorite movies is House Party. You always have that thing for Ice Cube's eyebrows.
He's got some eyebrows on him.
That's not for the radio.
I told you that in confidence.
She looks whitish pink, but she's black on the inside.
Curly hair.
Yeah, there you go. How did we get to
Oh,
Sinbad?
that was a
You're
spin-off
related to
from
Sinbad,
our
I forgot about that.
from our terrifying trivia. It's time now for the Colby count. Colby reads us the autopsies of the movie by tallying the death toll and boob count of the film.
Yeah. Turns out there was 0 wieners in this movie.
You're a liar. Lying.
A wiener audit has been called.
Yeah. We have a body count of 4, which is kind of, I don't know. I think they ramped up the gore, and there was like reanimated dead bodies.
Yeah, there was a ton of bodies.
Yeah.
It's just hard for us to count them because
like actual deaths. There was 4.
Yeah.
And then there was a boob count of 12. Fantastic amount.
And that's each boob,
A
right?
good even amount.
That's individual boobs.
Yeah.
3 wieners, which negates like 6 boobs, so we're back down to 6.
There's more than 3 wieners, but okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of...
He chose to sit
Okay,
on the
now
edge
let me
of the
explain
TV
that.
for this.
I count each wiener by halves. So combined.
Those actors would not like to hear that.
Yeah.
And then there was one bush scene, which makes like
And she's a natural
6.
blonde.
6 boob scenes, so we're right back at 12.
The curtains match the rapes.
Aww, what a sad room shot.
That
He almost gave her a sad room
I'm-
shot.
I'm cutting that
So
out.
dark. Please cut that out. I have children.
I'm sorry. Could not resist.
Yeah, we should have changed your name to protect your identity.
I know. Guess I can't let my mom listen to this.
Thanks for starring today, Sandy.
His names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Protect the guilty.
Yeah, right. I'm going down for this.
I don't know. I feel like there could have been a lot of advantages to that relationship.
Oh,
You
tons
know.
of them.
What
It's just,
relationship?
Yeah.
this wasn't love. That was a problem. They didn't
Yeah.
care for each other.
But I mean, if she's on her period, he would never notice.
Oh my god, Dave. Holy
He needs that
shit.
he needs that to live.
Yeah.
That's how he talks to blood. He'd be like, just pour that in my neck.
Take that!
Sorry.
Well, I've been one up.
This is the worst we've done since
Yeah.
Monster Squad. I think pretend that didn't happen.
Let's go on to the pieces and parts. This is a segment where we just tell what our favorite part of the movie is. Who wants to go first?
I really liked the part when he was cutting his head off with the shovel.
That was cool.
Yeah, they didn't back off because they were talking like he jammed it in, and like more blood would squirt up in the air. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
I think I liked the cat scene just because, I don't know, it was almost ridiculous how it was like, well, this is how I found your cat. This is why he's like this. And everybody's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're gonna
It
buy
made
it.
sense to me.
We don't eat anything in jars, though.
Yeah.
Weird.
I really liked the music because it was so 80s sometimes, but it was like it didn't feel dated. It did,
Yeah.
but it
It
didn't.
was done entirely on a keytar.
Oh, totally. And the little like, those just great. It's classic.
They did a really good updated version for Trick or Treat. I'll bring that up again because it is the same song.
My favorite part was, of course, when he's got his severed head between her legs.
You sick?
Because you gotta think about though. That's something that you do not see in any other movie. You're never gonna see a movie that happens where you will not think Reanimator like that. That is a very
Yeah,
unique
they
thing.
definitely did it
Yeah.
first.
Do you see a lot of movies where that happens where you think?
Far more than
It's kind of like The Matrix. Like you see bullet time, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah. it's The
that was
Matrix.
where
You're
that
like,
started,
Oh,
yeah.
that undead head is trying to perform oral sex on a person. You'd be like, oh, Reanimator.
Yeah, that was
so
definitely
bad.
something that the audience had never seen
Special
before.
thanks to Reanimator.
Yeah.
The credits.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Thank you, Reanimator.
I'd like to see that in a modern film.
Yeah, with CGI. Now they can do it better.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen the porno Repenetrator?
not good.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
I'll have to look for
Pretty
that.
clever. Repenetrated.
Colby, let's do this critical critique.
All right. This is by David Kerr. I think so you pronounce his name. From the Chicago Tribune, I believe. Okay.
Those hacks.
Ludicrous and inept, this low-budget 1985 splatter film directed by... I don't think this is low budget. This movie seemed expensive to me because there's a lot of effects and blood and what's his Jeffrey Combs? He's not cheap. He's just
He might
Broadway
It
or
was
something.
cheap, yeah, back
Yeah.
He's Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay, this low-budget 1985 splatter film directed by former Chicagoan Stuart Gordon tries to compensate for its complete failure to establish even a sliver of credibility by inflating the usual quotient of giggly camp humor and squishy gore
I was
effects.
a giggling one.
Like, are they talking about
I
the credibility
giggled.
of, like, the science of this movie?
Or maybe
I can
Reanimating
tell you.
is not possible.
I could tell you that it was a stretch.
he's probably talking about the credibility as being a good film.
Oh, okay. There's an H.P. Lovecraft story about a demented medical student who learns the secret of revivifying, his word, not mine, revivifying corpses buried in it somewhere, but Gordon has no interest in storytelling. He focuses all his efforts on serving up the gross outs, which are still so amateurishly filmed that for sheer stomach-churning power they compare unfavorably to the average Alpo commercial.
Alpo commercials were really quality though.
Yeah,
So,
I was
I don't know
saying,
what we're talking
those-
Some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Some of
those
my
aren't low
favorites.
budget
I
either.
remember.
It's funny because, okay, this came out in 1985, and we are just watching it in 2014, and it looks high budget to us.
Yeah,
So, if it was a low-budget movie, they did a great job.
yeah, and
25
like,
gallons of fake blood can't be cheap.
no, and who the fuck is this guy to say it's amateurishly filmed? What have
His
you filmed,
reviews
dickhead?
Well,
amateur.
and you know, if it's first movie, then it is amateurishly filmed, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, here it is. All these years later, it's got a freaking 93 on Rotten Tomatoes. I'd
Yeah.
say it's pretty good.
Okay,
It's holding up.
It's this kind of flat-footed stuff that gives garbage a bad name.
As opposed to high arched.
Yeah, I was
High
gonna say,
quality.
I know flat-footed people. They're really nice people. So,
They're
like,
people too.
what does that have to mean? They do wonderful things.
Definitely disagrees.
And to
Get
give
an
garbage
arch
a bad
on it.
name, that's just, you took it too far with that one. David Kerr, the dick.
Yeah, I just don't think horror is for him.
No. But you
And-
should have just said that, like, horror isn't for me. I didn't care for this movie.
Yeah.
Then you probably should be a movie critic.
He's yeah, just doesn't see that there's an audience for exactly that.
And I don't really go to a horror movie to see, like, storytelling. Like, that was beautiful, the story of a young man coming of age. I don't fucking care.
It's always nice when you get it, but
Yeah.
you don't expect
Yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, you want to see a good story, but I mean, that particular type of movie, it is exploitive. I mean, what you want to see is the gore and the boobs and things like
Yeah.
that. You don't make 10 fucking Friday the 13th movies because of the story. It's the same story. What you want to see is teenagers get naked and get hacked up.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
why
you're there
those
for.
movies get higher, praise because there's a story with it.
Yeah,
you're
'cause
gonna
saving-
enjoy the guts and the blood and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
you're gonna like the story too.
So, having read the book, how did this compare?
It compared, but not very alike. Matt read it too, and let's see. A lot of there's still a narrator, like the Kane figure. In the book, he's a lot more willing to go on with his experiments. Not even like there's no love story, which I really like. I don't need it. I don't need a love story in any of it. Instead of a morgue at the beginning, they're grave robbers. So they experiment a lot. They there's a big typhoid, or what's typhus? Is that something?
Typhus?
I don't think so.
Typhoid fever?
I don't
Typhoid
know.
is
That's
a
what
real
it said
thing.
on the Wikipedia, but
That's
can't
this
trust
is a
that
thing.
sometimes. There's a big outbreak, so that's how they get into the school, the university, and they're helping with the bodies and
I think that shows up a little bit in the sequel.
that's it.
Yeah, because he's working. He's doing like it looks like Dan Kane he's working in like a medical tent
Okay.
in some sort of
Yeah, because they use that as under the guise of they're helping out, but then Herbert West has more access to the dead bodies. There's a really cool part, and what happened? I guess I'll start over. He wrote it in a serialized stories. He wrote it for pay, so it's like looked at as one of his worst stories, which I really enjoyed it. I don't know. It wasn't anything thematically like any of it. Have you guys ever read any Lovecraft stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Did he do Goosebumps?
Oh no! Have you
You
seen
dare
any
take
of those
credit
shows?
over R.L. Stein, buddy.
horrifying.
Like, Call of Cthulhu was funny because you read the whole thing and then you find out that, like, they saw something.
Nothing happened.
Oh, shit.
Well,
I'm crazy.
that's like I've heard it talked about how H.P. Lovecraft's his stories aren't really, they're not about the horrible creatures. They're more about creating a really real setting, and then just the fact that there is a monster in the real world is kind of like where the horror comes from in his stories.
Yeah, because it never really describes them well. It's always like the horror's too great to imagine, you know, and then the person goes crazy. It's like, well, and I mean, they are really, they're good, but I kind of liked this story because it wasn't like any of the other stuff. It's, you know what the monsters are. They're, you know, and there's more of an ending. The guy goes crazy at the end. Everyone thinks he's crazy, the narrator, but...
That's a big thing for him, too.
Yeah,
Everybody goes crazy.
Everybody's mad.
It seems to be that he likes, rather than describing the creature, it's the effect the creature had on the people around.
Well, and like we talked about before, like in the 20s, that would have blown your mind. Like even the idea of something horrible would have been like, oh my goodness.
Instead of like jamming a bone saw through him, you have to like jam like a hand saw through him, like really slowly. Like
Exactly. It's horrifying. How long it took. So he wrote it in installments from October 1921 to June 1922. And he hated that he left each installment with a cliffhanger, and the next one had a recap. So it just wasn't very... He didn't like it because it wasn't very authentic to his writing, but I liked it. I don't know. It was just a big change. The big thing is, what I saw a lot of similarities was they both joined the narrator, which they never name, and West joined the military to help in World War One. And he befriends this guy named Clapham? I can't read my writing. And that guy's killed, and he tells him all about his reanimation. He's really interested, and that guy gets killed. Clapham gets killed in combat. And so he's almost decapitated when he gets his body. So he totally decapitates him, puts a serum in both the head and the body, comes back to life, and then they get bombed or something. So he thinks, like, they've been destroyed. West and the narrator escape. But then, later, the Clapham comes back. Somehow, they never explain, like, somehow that he has control over all the zombies that Herbert West has made. And they come for Herbert West and kill him. So it's pretty similar to the idea of Dr. Hill.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, so they'd, like, disembowel him, and
Interesting.
nobody can find him.
And so did Herbert make it out of the book?
No, they kill him.
They killed him. Okay.
They kill him, yeah. And the narrator goes crazy. It was just more jumping around. Like, you just meet him every 5 years and an asshole he does. Like, one, he's trying to experiment on this. He thinks that, like, he needs to kill somebody, and as soon as they're dead, inject him. Like, no, like, 5 seconds, you know. So
The 5-second rule.
yeah, 5 second rule. So he finds this. He invites this salesman in, and he tells his friend that he, like, had a heart attack and he reanimated him. But the guy is coherent enough to be like, he killed me. So that was like a big, like, at the end, they're like, oh shit, he's crazy.
He's killing folks.
He's killing poor old guys.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The movie was better though. Movie was better, but it was fun to see the source material.
That would go into those themes and tropes.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, this is tropes and themes now, and I guess we'll go into, like, what tropes are. Tropes comes from the Latin word tropus, which means way or style. So if something is replete in, movies, it becomes a trope.
we should reference our listeners should go to dictionary.com.
Their sponsor.
Merriam-Webster was my grandmother.
I told you, we're going to lock down that Serious Texas Barbecue sponsor
Oh, dude.
before we moved anything
I'll
else.
be to every episode.
So yeah, we'll just start with tropes first. Trope that seems to happen a lot is, this is after Dan and Meg finish having their sexy time, and Herbert comes to the door, and Dan forgets he's naked. It seems to happen a lot in movies. People always forget. I don't think I would ever forget. I think
I'm
something
always
pretty
very aware of it.
No, that
like
shit
something
happens to
pretty
me all the
shocking
time.
would have to happen to where I just forgot. But if
Like-
the doorbell rang,
Yeah.
I could probably
You're
gather
significant
myself.
other's kind of a dick just to open the door up when you don't it close by.
But
She forgot too.
Yeah, sure.
he hadn't rung the bell or anything. He was just kind of creeping on the porch.
Oh,
So
because
she opened the door.
That's right.
It wasn't creepy. I'm just getting ready to ring the doorbell.
No, he was creepy, man.
He just looks like that all the time.
He's a creeper.
He's a good guy.
Herbert West does not do anything that isn't creepy. I'm sure when he's in the grocery store, he slinks down the aisle.
The backstory though is like
Hot Pockets or Tostitos.
he slinks into like old folks' homes and reads them stories and shit. And, like,
But it's creepy. They're like, oh god, it's creepy.
And speaking of creepy, it seems to be a thing where if they're creepy, they have to be German or from some Swiss or, Germany country.
Like scary German guy.
Yeah, scary German guy. The guy from Human Centipede.
The mysterious foreigner.
Another trope that happens in every movie is that the security guard has to be reading a nudie mag.
Totally. It was awesome.
They're not.
Security
I guess security guards aren't well cultured, which I find as a negative stereotype.
Is that just like a... Even if you're not cultured, I feel like it'd be weird to have a boner at your
I
workplace.
I'm the workplace.
No,
Yeah.
I met a security guard once who was like a ship captain and a pilot.
Okay.
Wow.
No, I'm just saying that shit happens, Matt. It's like that's security guards for you.
And one thing that I really loved, and I hope they did it intentionally, but maybe not, is in Dan's apartment you see like a 2-second shot, and it shows the caduceus symbol, which you'll recognize from the ambulance. That's 2 snakes twining around a pole.
Oh, was it on like a little plaque or something?
Yeah, it was a circular white plaque. But what's really interesting about that is that it goes back to a misunderstanding from 1850, and that staff with the 2 snakes intertwining it is called the caduceus, and it's actually the symbol for deceit and profit.
Ooh.
The real staff that they should have been using is the rod of Espiculus, which stands for healing and medicine. And so all the symbols on the ambulances and hospitals are wrong.
Are you serious?
No. Because they are deceitful and want profit.
Oh, for this?
So I'd say they fucking nailed it.
Commentary out here.
Yeah, wouldn't it be the insurance companies that should have that as their symbol then?
That's true.
But yeah, if they did that intentionally, that would be great. I hope they put that much thought into it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then part of the themes, this is like a kind of a modern day Frankenstein without the lightning pretty much. Except for in the end, the Frankenstein kind of wins because he creates his own mob and takes out, the people.
Although they all.
Well, they had a good run.
Well, that's one thing I forgot from the book thing is he was really influenced by Frankenstein to write it, so that makes sense.
Nice. I guess one more trope is a useless female character.
There's a lot of that. They seem to be.
And I think we brought that up before.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
They serve the one purpose, and that purpose is boobs.
Yeah, and a very awkward scene later on in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
But Ripley changed things, man.
Yes, she did.
Didn't Ripley come before this movie, like by 8 years?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
This was in 85.
78, yeah.
She was supposed to be a
so
guy too in the first round, the first draft of it.
Yeah, and then they just made her. But
Curly haired.
Yeah, she was the first girl on screen to just whoop ass. Okay, time for the Quetzalcoatl. Who got a good quote?
I got one.
Wait.
After they reanimated the cat for the second time, Dan says he was dead, and then Herbert said twice.
Nice.
I have one. When he comes back and West is talking to Dr. Hill, and I think Dr. Hill's saying something about, I'm going to tell everybody what you've done or about your research or something. He goes, and Herbert West goes, who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job at a sideshow. He says it like so cockily.
Which he was saying to distract him so that guy could save that girl from being tongue raped by a severed head.
There you go.
Herbert was the fucking hero of this movie.
I bet he would have let it happen if he didn't want to.
Hero and the villain, though. He's the catalyst.
Yeah.
He was trying to save people.
Also,
I understand,
I think-
Herbert.
Right before then, I think he's saying to Dr. Hill, I think the first thing he's like, here I find you here, trysting with a bubble-headed co-ed. Like, oh, poor thing. Because was she going to that school? You
Yeah.
always saw her studying, but you never really saw her doing anything.
Well, her
She's
dad
getting
was
her
the.
MRS degree.
Oh, you know, that's right.
What the hell's an MRS degree?
The missus. You
found
just
out.
go to college and find a husband.
That's why she's like, you graduate,
Yeah.
then we're gonna get married.
She was studying communications.
She did tell him. She did tell him the second he graduated, she'd marry him.
Yeah.
But her father was the dean of a prestigious college, so I imagine she had plenty of money.
Which, according to the parental guide, he was drinking wine in one scene. So have your kids watch out for that.
Yeah, that's
Like, cover your eyes, they're drinking wine.
Okay, we should be good after this. You just keep your eyes open. Movieguide.org. Have you ever gone to that? It's like I think it's a Christian website. It tells you all the bad stuff about movies.
Oh,
See if
that's
we-
basically
I'll do it
what
right now.
Colby.
It did, but
does.
that one's probably better.
Yeah.
More
I
pure.
think it's that one. 'Cause it's like upper male nudity. It's like, oh, my word.
Movieguide.org.
I think so.
I had a book that was like everything that's wrong with popular music. And I remember the guy was talking about John Lennon and his song Imagine, about how like everybody's the same and it's like a perfect world, and he was like, that's Nazi talk. And I was like, really? Who compares John Lennon to a Nazi? Like,
I
oh,
would.
the super.
And this is a book you had?
Yeah.
Do you still have it?
Somewhere.
Sounds
It
wonderful.
might be over there.
Yeah. Pretty sure that song was all about just everyone loving
Loving
each
each
other.
other, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Nazi talking. How dare you?
Yeah.
Sexy. We only have Bride of Reanimator
Oh.
on here.
That's really weird. All right, let's see
What was your quote, Matt?
I don't remember it word for word, but it was just his explanation for how the cat suffocated. He got into the trash and his head got in a jar.
Stuck in a jar.
He's like, cat dead, details later.
What was I supposed to do?
And my quote comes from the same spot, and he says, "It was dead when I found it." That's the end of it. Clearly, because we all just quit talking.
What can you say after that?
Thanks for listening. Thanks to you guys for what, you got something else?
No, I'm waiting for you to drop the bombshell on us about what the
Okay.
next movie is.
Yeah, so
Oh.
next week's movie, I'm taking us in a different direction. Something crazy that you guys might or might not enjoy. But I maintain that it's a good movie that didn't get the attention it deserved.
In spite of its entire cast.
Okay, now, what's fucked up about this? We're watching a Ben Stiller movie. The Watch.
Fuck.
The Watch.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
quit. I'm out.
It was a good
Yeah.
movie. You're going to find out. You're going to find
Yeah.
out. It was a good movie. Anyway, yeah, that's what we're doing next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks to you guys for hanging out and watching Sweet Ass Reanimator.
Thanks for letting me on.
Sure, thanks for coming. Special guest number 2.
Woo!
Yeah.
And we'd like to thank our 40 listeners.
Yeah.
We have 40 listeners?
Well, we have 40 views on one of the podcasts, which is probably me checking to see how many views.
It's
I'm like,
different.
we're up to
And
38. We're up to
let's
38.
hope the CEO of Serious Texas Barbecue.
Oh,
Is one of those. Yeah.
We're really shooting for that sponsorship. If you're listening.
just cuz? Or just because you love it?
It's right down the street and it's
Oh, God,
delicious.
delicious.
He'd eat it every day if he could.
Yes.
Oh,
So-
it is
Yeah.
awesome.
They should make breakfast barbecue. Well, I guess they do. I'll just eat the fucking meat that they make there as breakfast.
Put an egg on it.
No,
Ooh.
not even that. It's like give me some ribs.
Yeah. I eat a breakfast rib, sure.
Yeah.
Breakfast ribs. All right, that's it. Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
His experiments have always been unorthodox.
Herbert West has effected reanimation.
He's dead? Who's going to believe a talking head?